Okay, let's actually get in a comment from the Ruias. They've significantly altered the debt picture, according to them, of the conglomerate, affecting an overall debt reduction of about $10 billion. Siddharth Zaravi spoke exclusively to Prashant Ruia and began by asking him to detail the change in the debt level at the holding company and also the operating company level.
As far as the operating company debt, it goes along with the valuation includes the debt. So it's about little bit over $5 billion of debt, which will move along with the acquisition. As far as the holding company goes, there will also be a significant deleveraging at the holding company. We will delever again approximately another $5 billion of debt at the holding company. So if you look at it from an SR group perspective, if you take both of them together, then it's about $10 billion or about a shade below 70,000 crores of debt reduction. At the operating company level, if you take it from a group perspective, we believe that this will be, this is a little over 50% of our group debt.
Okay, a little over 50%.
I think if you look at it on a larger perspective, this will probably be one of the largest deleveraging stories in corporate India.
Absolutely. I'm going to come to that theme again, but since you mentioned operating companies, could you give us a breakup of where you intend to utilize these proceeds? You said that the entire debt on this company's books, which is Essar Oil, moves out. Where is the remaining deployment going to happen?
Yeah, so it's not only this company. So what will happen is the transaction involves Essar Oil, it involves the Vadinar port, and it also involves the Vadinar power plant. So the debt of all the three companies will move along. Will move along with the transaction, right? And as far as the rest of the companies go, it doesn't really materially change those companies, other than the money which we would invest, additional monies which we would invest as a group into those companies. Frankly, if you look at the overall portfolio, most of our capital investment program, which we kicked off many years ago, we kicked off a $20 billion investment program about 6 years ago. That program is largely completed now, and the only company in the portfolio which requires some additional equity investment is our steel company, and that of course we will take care from this transaction.
Okay. In terms of the bankers who have lent to you in the past, Standard Chartered, several others come to mind, and they had lent to you at the holdco level. Does that get completely taken care of?
I don't want to go into individual banking names, but
the banking reactions have been quite positive, Prashant. ICICI, for instance, has issued a statement talking about this transaction.
Well, the way we are looking at it is that, as I mentioned, in the holding company, there will be substantially most of the debt will be repaid, right?
Okay.
From this transaction. I mentioned to you a number of about $5 billion. So that's something which is part of this, which is a corollary to this transaction. And yes, as I mentioned, from a deleveraging perspective, I think it's a very strong story.
Absolutely, and does obviously also improves your interest coverage numbers. But let me come to the larger question. You know, your group was one of the companies that was mentioned in the House of Debt report by a brokerage, and that sort of led to a situation where doubts were expressed about not just your group, but pretty much a lot of other leveraged companies and their ability to service debt, to continue to invest for growth. Where does that leave you? And when you recall that report, what would you say now?
Well, we'll certainly be much lower on that list on the House. I think that I would like to look at it slightly differently, right? Many companies, about 5-6 years ago, India went through a major investment cycle in the previous government, right? And the sectors which were identified were mainly the infrastructure sectors, whether it was the power sector, the steel sector, the roads sector, and many other manufacturing sectors, including telecom and including oil and gas sector, which was where we invested heavily. When you look at these kind of investments, naturally there will be a component of debt and a component of equity, right? Most of these companies invested in a ratio of 2:1, so about 35% of equity and about 70% of debt. What's coming out in these reports is largely just focused around the amount of debt which is there in these companies. The reality is that debt is supported by huge amount of equity which has been invested. It is supported by a very large value in terms of the asset which has been invested in, and ultimately it is supported by a cash flow which should, once the asset is operational, should be more than sufficient to take care of the the investment and the debt along with the investment. Unfortunately, those aspects of the prism are not being looked at, and one is only looking at the pure debt.
One of the key questions that stands is, as far as the minority shareholders are concerned, will they be eligible for any gains in this transaction? Because there's been some amount of lack of clarity about the delisting price and the price per share at which Rosneft is acquiring it. Could you just clarify the ground for this?
So firstly, when we delisted the company, one of the suggestions which we gave to SEBI was that when we were discussing with them was that if there was a higher price, which we were, because there was a transaction which was already under discussion. It was not.
It was under consideration.
It was under consideration. We had obviously put it on hold till the delisting was completed, but there was some talk about it, and so we said that, look, if there was a higher price which would be made by the 90% shareholders as compared to the minority shareholders, we would offer that same
price
benefit
to the minority.
So based on our suggestion and based on the discussions we had, that actually, when the final approvals came, that was baked into the approvals as a requirement from SEBI, and which we have obviously
adhering to.
So to put this at ease, clearly, as far as the minority shareholders go, they will get the same price even now as the 90% majority shareholders would get on a per share basis. To answer the question specifically, there will be a higher price which the minority shareholders will get over the price at 262, which is the price at which the company was delisted. Right? The exact amount of how much that is not clear yet. It will become clear, because right now what has been agreed is as an enterprise value. By the time the deal closes, there will be clarity on what is the exact price at which the shares will finally change hands, and that same number will be applicable to all the shareholders.
So, Mr. Sharma, we just heard from what Mr. Ruia was saying. Coming back to my point on what we were talking about the industry, from this deal, do you expect any significant change in the next 12 to 24 months, or with the context of the current oil price, the industry, the Russian, basically the forest issue at present, do you expect the Rosneft to put more significant investments in the next 1 to 3 years?